what is the price we are paying for the gas?
Kaieteur Radio.
Covering Guyana from coast to coast.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio. Kaieteur Radio, keeping you informed.
Demerara and Essequibo 99.1 FM.
Berbice 99.5 FM. Kaieteur Radio.
Good day, welcome to your main newscast on Kaieteur Radio. I am Kevin Smith. Let's get to the news in detail. Endless possibilities exist for Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago to partner in a number of developmental areas following the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the two countries on Sunday. Guyana's Foreign Affairs Minister Hugh Todd and his Trinidadian counterpart Dr. Amory Brown signed the document on behalf of their respective countries at a State House ceremony yesterday. The understanding is an agreement for the two nations to work together in areas of trade investment, removal of non-tariff barriers, energy, education, security, tourism, and any other determined by the two leaders. While Guyana and Trinidad will work to address their own trade barriers, President Ali said that special focus was also placed on the issue from the regional level, where a comprehensive document was drawn up for the entire region, itemizing every issue and every product. Guyana and Trinidad will experiment with cargo, plus ferry facilities that will make moving people, goods, and services between the two nations easier. Additionally, partnerships in energy will be explored. President Ali said that Trinidad and Tobago has already been participating deeply in the local energy sector, but collaboration will be looked at in a broader sense as it evolves. Amid mounting crisis here and abroad, Guyanese leaders seem more concerned about insulting each other with their focus on minor issues, businessman and Kaieteur News publisher Glenn Lal has said. He said critical issues such as strengthening the governance architecture of the oil and gas industry and pursuing greater social cohesion were not being advanced. It is not the first time Mr. Lal has called out Guyanese leader for what he deemed as their lack of vision for this country. Back in April, he had urged the current crop of leaders to develop a bold and progressive vision for the country. At the time, he bemoaned the lack of a common-sense approach to the nation's development. We had reported previously that despite heavy criticism, the PPPC government has remained steadfast in its belief that there is no need for specific penalties for the misuse of oil revenues. And coming from Al Jazeera, the World Health Organization says it expects to identify more cases of monkeypox as it expands surveillance in countries where the disease is not typically found. As of Saturday, 92 confirmed cases and 28 suspected cases of monkeypox were reported from 12 member states that are not endemic to the virus, the UN agency said, adding it will provide further guidance and recommendations in the coming days for countries on how to mitigate the spread of monkeypox. Monkeypox is an infectious disease that is usually mild and is endemic in parts of West and Central Africa. Although it belongs to the same virus family as smallpox, its symptoms are milder. People usually recover within 2 to 4 weeks without needing to be hospitalized, but the disease is occasionally deadly. It is spread by close contact, so it can be relatively easily contained through such measures as self-isolation and hygiene. And moving on, for the Wales gas-to-energy project being undertaken by ESSO, the highest hazardous risk is a leaking pipeline. However, this is not addressed in the environmental impact assessment for the project. Former EPA head Dr. Vincent Adams questioned the logic behind this, saying that this is a question that must be answered by American oil major ExxonMobil. Dr. Adams was responding to a statement made by the gas-to-energy project manager, Friedrich Crispin, who said the document will develop and be submitted to the EPA about a year before the project commences. The gas-to-energy project, or the aspect that will be pursued by ESSO, is expected to cost around $1.3 billion. Importantly, the cost will only cover the onshore and offshore pipeline to be set up to transport gas to the Wales industrial site on the west bank of Demerara from the Liza 1 and 2 fields in the Starbuck block. And moving on, the local private sector commission is looking for greater trade relations with their Trinidadian counterparts as the Caribbean moves to enhance its food security capabilities through the removal of barriers and other constraints. The PSC lauded the recent signing of a memorandum of understanding between the governments of Trinidad and Tobago and Guyana, but highlighted the need for the country's private sector bodies to have closer ties. The PSC said it recognizes the commitment made by the leaders of both Guyana and Trinidad to collaborate on areas of trade and investment, agriculture and food security, energy, and infrastructure. Through its council, which represents the interest of 23 business services organizations, the PSC will be taking steps to engage the private sector in Trinidad and Tobago, as well as the governments of both countries, to establish a roadmap to move these commitments forward. The time has now moved on to 12 hours 37 in Guyana. We will take a short break and resume.
Experience more than award-winning speed. Way more. Get the best that LTE has to offer on Digicel, officially the fastest mobile network in Guyana. Ookla, the company behind Speedtest, recognizes Digicel as the best mobile network in Guyana. With the best LTE experience and the fastest data speeds, experience it all with Digicel. Better together.
This is GHK Lal, inviting you to join me weekdays from Monday to Friday on the National Outlook for commentary on a range of issues, immediately after the 12 noon and 7 p.m. newscasts on Kaieteur Radio at 99.1 FM and 99.5 FM. Looking forward to you sharing in the conversation.
Guyana, join me on the Glenn Lal Show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7:20 p.m. and a rebroadcast at 11 a.m. The Glenn Lal Show only on Kaieteur Radio, 99.1 and 99.5 FM.
Welcome back. Let us continue with the news. Environmentalist Simone Mangal-Joly has challenged the Minister of Agriculture Zulfikar Mustafa to release the study conducted by the Food and Agriculture Organization, which has found that, contrary to the suspicion of fisherfolk and the science behind oil exploration and production activities, the exploitation of the natural resource was not to be blamed, but rather climate change. She was keen to note in her articulate missive to Mustafa that no less than a well-studied approach would be required to reach such a conclusion. Mangal-Joly noted that in Canada, Exxon was sure to include precise data that identifies where its operations would occur, relative to ecologically significant areas as well as the fishing grounds used by fisherfolk. Regrettably, the opposite is done for Guyana, where the company only identifies the oil block in which it will be operating, she said. Meanwhile, President Ali said that Brazilian investors from the neighboring state of Roraima are interested in being integrated into CARICOM's vision of reducing its food import bill by 25% by 2025. As part of this integration, the president said CARICOM has committed to ensuring that the state of Roraima is represented on the region's agriculture ministerial task force. This was after President Ali led a delegation of the visiting CARICOM heads and other Caribbean government officials to the Santa Fe farm in the North Rumununi, where they had a Caribbean Roraima investors luncheon with a number of Brazilian investors. President Ali said that he spoke to the Secretary of Agriculture of the state of Roraima, Marlon Buss, who indicated that they are looking to be integrated into CARICOM's vision. In other news, Vice President Bharat Jagdeo has suggested to CARICOM a reorientation of international assistance to their countries to serve in areas where it is most needed. He told a gathering at the recently concluded Agri-Investment Forum and Expo, where he delivered his keynote address on constraints to growing the agriculture sector, that more of the money coming from the international community would better serve to develop the enterprising capabilities of regional nations rather than the regular contributions to government agencies in the form of capacity building. Jagdeo pointed out several areas where regional nations and even as a collective are disadvantaged in getting their economic concerns across. Competing country size and getting past trade barriers are among the many issues faced by the Caribbean community. As such, Jagdeo said the regional bloc must return with zeal to the issue of carving an international framework to deal with trade. And moving on. With technology rapidly advancing almost every day, the Guyana Police Force is now opening its doors to citizens with no training in law enforcement solely for the purpose of enhancing the capabilities of its Information Technology Department. However, according to the head of the force's IT and Communications Department, Superintendent Jermaine Johnson, prospective candidates must be highly skilled and qualified in the area. Apart from this, they must have a character of honesty and discipline. And moving on, Minister of Tourism, Industry and Commerce Onage Waldron said gender equality in agriculture is critical to reducing CARICOM's food import bill by 25% by 2025. Minister Waldron was at the time delivering remarks at a panel discussion on gender and agribusiness in the Caribbean during the final day of the Agri-Investment Forum and Expo. According to the UN's Food and Agriculture Organization, if women had the same access to productive resources as men, their farm production could increase by 20 to 30%, leading to a 12% decrease in hunger. The minister explained, like many other sectors, there is a gender gap in terms of deriving the benefits in agriculture. And finally, let's tell you that the Ministry of Health on Sunday recorded 48 new COVID-19 cases with 2 persons in the ICU. Guyana has seen a steady increase in COVID-19 cases in recent times with 1 recent death. And as usual, we wrap things up with the page 7 of today's Kaieteur News. This fish story need not get fishy. Our fish catch is increasing, not declining, so said Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa. The minister also said that the Food and Agriculture Organization said that the operations of the oil companies have nothing to do with the meager haul of our fishermen. Meanwhile, our fisherfolk have said that there are their empty nets and unladen boats, and that is the story with which they have been living with ever since oil production commenced. Whatever the Honourable Minister has said, and whatever the FAO has reported, climate change and fresh water are the culprits, the bottom line is that the local fishing sector is hurting badly. The basis of the Minister's statement that fish catch has increased would help, and the full contents of the completed FAO report identify what holds water and what is eliminated as being responsible for the fate of our fisherfolk. We must be able to get to the source of what is haunting our fishermen. This fish story need not deteriorate into a fishy one. Give Guyanese the facts, as written, and let them go from there. And that brings us to the end of today's News at Noon. I'm Kevin Smith. Thank you for listening.
Want value for your advertising dollar? Then place your ads on Kaieteur Radio's newscasts. Streamed live on 6 different mediums.